Welcome to The Jeweler's View. I'm Courtney Gray. I've spent nearly 30 years in this industry, running schools, doing custom work, coaching, consulting, and working with makers at all stages. Over time, I've started to see the patterns, the things that actually move a creative career forward, and the things that can quietly hold it back. I built this podcast to cut through the noise, less time in your head or down the research rabbit hole, and more time building something real. Let's get into it. So let's talk today a little bit about what it really takes to build a jewelry business that can grow without losing yourself in the process or your mind. In part one with Stacey King, who's back here today with us, we dug into creativity and process and what it means to stay in the magic and stay connected to the work. In this conversation, I want to shift a little bit into the business side of Stacey's journey and talk about what it really did take to build Lulu Designs and how that's continuing to evolve. The real decisions behind the scenes, running a physical store, building a team, and navigating growth in a way that still feels aligned to your original intention. So let's dig in. Welcome back, Stacey.
Thanks for having me again.
So we talked a little bit in episode one about your scrappy roots, and you mentioned being a latchkey kid and having to figure things out. How has that shaped the way that you built your business?
I think it's being resilient. Resilience is a huge key to success. I think just from my upbringing of understanding where my support system was and using that as a resource for growing and making decisions. And when you come at it not having a background in business or not having a background in a certain type of skill set, if you had to do it yourself as a kid and you had to be comfortable with, I don't want to say failure because it's always a learning experience, but you have to be really comfortable with like tough growth moments and realize that you're going to survive at the other end of this. And if you're really true to your intention, really and truly, I think when you are an artist that is trying to make a living at something, the number one goal has to be the work. It has to be the art. That has to be the driving force. If it's any other force besides that, and I'm not saying that people can't do jewelry business with the idea that they're going to come up with this novel idea and they're going to be able to scale it and make a bunch of money on it. That's not going to be the reality. But from a real true artisan perspective, which is, I think that's the audience that you and I are reaching in this moment, it's really putting the art first and then learning who your support system is, identifying key people in your life, whether it's like business skill tools or just general resources for making. You just have a keen ability to read the room in any situation, looking through the eyes of there's always an opportunity in any situation to learn something, including becoming good at business. It comes back to that staying in the magic and staying connected. I'm so inspired by other people in my own life, like Buddhist teachings and the teachers that came before. There's so much wisdom out there, and I want to learn all of it. And I think I'm just so open-minded. I think that's a big part of it.
I think that's dead on. Resilience and tuning into your resources. Your community is your resources, right? Sounds like the same for you, Stacey. Without the people in my community and the people that were either drawn into the work I was doing or I drew in, it's so imperative. We think we're supposed to put our heads down and do it ourselves. The reality of growth and sustainability is to start letting some things go. Would you agree with that? And bringing other voices into the room with yours?
Definitely. I think when I decided to go beyond the scope of my community where I was selling Lulu Designs, I was doing just street fairs. It really became a necessity that I was either going to have to, I went through a divorce, I was either going to have to go back to work or figure out how I was going to make this work. So that's when I decided to get a rep. And I want to go back to what I was saying before about understanding your community. And truly, you have to be surrounded with people, number one, that are super healthy, that are also connected to the work and to the importance of the work. In this case, when I had worked with my first showroom, which was Christy Harris in Los Angeles, she's a pretty well-known rep, a very good friend. She's amazing. I aligned myself with people that I looked up to, that I was inspired by, and that people that believed in me and believed what I was doing. If you're going into business with someone, which with rep, it's a partnership, who is telling you to change things or you could do this better, or they don't really make you a priority, you're really in business with the wrong person. And I think the one thing that I will say about working with Christy is she is really invested in each of the designers that she carries. And she was always very invested in her whole team. And there's not a lot of negativity within the teamwork. And I think figuring out how you're going to assemble a team, whether that's a sales team or a team of other jewelers to help you make your work.
You've been in business for a long time.
I started making the collection probably seriously in 1997, where I was creating jewelry and selling it.
What are some of the harder lessons that you've had to learn? Because this doesn't just come to life smoothly, happen overnight. It's a process, and there's failures, and there's learning curves, and stumbles, and there's big lessons. Stacey, what were some of the harder lessons that you've learned and that really formed how you operate now?
The lesson that I continue to learn is over inventory. Too much inventory, not enough hands to make the work, and not enough revenue. From the wholesale perspective, the burden of a small business having to pay for all the material. When you first get really big and you get your first like catalog order, it's $10,000 and you are financing the whole end of the deal. Then the corporate entity doesn't pay you for 60 days. So not only do you have to fund the making of it, and if you're new and you're only doing small boutiques, then you get what you think is, I've arrived, I'm working with Anthropologie, I'm working with Sundance Catalog. It's really and truly like now I don't want to do catalog.
Yeah.
My perspective has changed. Having all your eggs in one basket is a very bad business decision. And you can get caught holding the bill very easily.
Yeah.
Because the corporate entities, they have, protocol in place to absolve them of responsibility.
Of course.
And nobody cares. They're investors. They don't care. It's all business. And I think it's just really understanding your comfort zone. You always have to know how much money you can put in this kind of business and be comfortable losing it, especially when you're talking about accounts receivables. Because a couple of times I've lost. One time was $11,000 invoice. I wasn't paid by a big corporate entity. But I think what I would say to that is that it was a huge learning experience. It's just like being comfortable with understanding that, especially if you put your own capital, which I always have done. Like I said, I refied my house once to bail me out of a cash crunch. And that's when I really understood like where my limits were in terms of risk taking. Number one, I would always become incorporated from the beginning. And I think you should borrow money to start a business.
Can you dig into that?
That's just at a certain point, if you put all your own money and your own resources into your business, then you're just draining yourself. There's so much more on the line. Like you're draining your own personal resources and you're risking everything for a business. And then the pressure on yourself just becomes that much higher. I think borrowing money takes a lot of the emotion and a lot of the pressure out. And I think that was one of the great aha moments I had with COVID. So I do have a loan in my business. It's a very small amount. I'm not personally invested in this business anymore. It's all Lulu, and it's all part of it is a business line of credit, and it's incorporated. So here's the deal. Like if there's another COVID, or if God forbid, like my place burns down because I live in California, it really allows me to really look at this as a business funded by me. And I pay myself. I think that's really important that you put those parameters in place. The business has a hiccup, or there's a recession, or whatever reason, it's happening to the business. It's not happening to you, the artist, the one with the good intentions. Wish I would have done that sooner, honestly. I would have had a more mature perspective about it being a business. When you start as an artist where you're just doing things not necessarily at the beginning with the intention of turning it into a business, there's so much personally invested. Going back to what I was talking about in the last episode about being vulnerable, you're not only opening up your vulnerability to what can happen as an artist and whether or not your collections are successful or not, but now you're financially vulnerable. So I think you have to sort of like limit your exposure and your vulnerability.
Yeah.
You got to protect your heart.
Yeah. It's too much. Too many things to have to carry.
You do have to protect yourself. Yeah. When you take all those serious steps, you really start becoming a big picture person. You have to be comfortable developing a business brain And it takes a long time.
We have to go through these lessons to really get them, though, I think. It's like I could tell you all day and
Grow
Stacey
through
could
what
tell
you
you.
through.
Yeah,
Right.
but you have to go through it. You can't go around it. Touch the hot thing to know that it's hot.
I'm working with a business coach right now on better marketing practice and helping us with our emails. And I'm investing a lot in this wisdom. There are resources out there. There are wise people. There are people that have done it before. And it's easier to access them now, especially with the internet and social media and like your podcast. And they really make a difference in people's lives. Allocating time to learn how to become a business person. Once you start listening to people that have been there before and listen to what people are offering,
and stay open.
Take that advice. Yes, you're still going to have to go through hard things, but you don't need to go through all of it. Like
right.
You should listen to people that know what they're talking about
Yeah.
and implement the advice.
Yeah. You're in the middle of a shift right now. Is that right? And moving a little bit away from wholesale?
I think what I'm doing, which is very much in alignment with my commitment to making our jewelry all in-house. The circumstances of business and jewelry making in general dictate how you navigate and how you change. We have our studio here and our flagship store, which is amazing, right here in Mill Valley. It's really and truly about having done business in a different way for 30 years, really focused on wholesale, but wholesale is all about scalability. It really takes a lot of additional revenue to really see the results from a profit margin perspective. At least in bridge collection jewelry, which is what we are making. And I'm very proud to say that all of our jewelers who are work for us full time have 401k, have full health care, and are paid at the top of the pay scale. We're able to staff it and all of those things. Now, from moving here to Mill Valley, where we have a dedicated clientele that keeps coming back, and we do a lot of repairs. We offer services. That's what brings people back over and over again.
Yeah.
I think that we are really just honing in and working with the wholesalers who have supported us and support our entire collection. We work with the Silverado jewelry in Saratoga, the Silverado in Bend, New Twist in Oregon, Casey from Bijou of Katona. They carry our whole collections because from a production standpoint, if we can work on 40 pieces at one time instead of onesie twosie for the stores that really can only invest in Lulu on a smaller scale. Once you ship your items, you have no idea what the other person on the other end is saying. You could include an artist card, include selling points. At the end of the day, when it gets into the boutique's hands, you have very limited control on how they're selling your work. I've been amazed at people calling me and say, they told me this was solid gold. I'm like, it's bronze. You just don't have much control, but you do have more control about your storytelling. And like so many young people now, they can sell their stuff on TikTok and Instagram. There's so many more opportunities now, I think, for artists to sell direct. And it just makes, from a financial perspective, more sense. We have an incredible collection of amazing retailers that sell our work, and we're going to continue to work with them. But to get established is difficult.
So did you always have a physical store? When did you make that decision to open to the public?
I think I had seen a lot of my colleagues making that change and seen how successful they were at it. I think I've developed such a relationship with other artists in the trade show world. And I love like walking the booths. And I was like, if I ever have a store someday, I'll carry your work. So it's again, coming back to that connection piece. And so we opened up a tiny store, 300 square feet in Sausalito, selling direct. And we're still selling the same MSRP that we're suggesting to our galleries that support us. So I started with a 300 square foot gallery in a great location. So I only bit off as much as I could chew. That being said, Sausalito is a tourist location. So the foot traffic during the down season was basically non-existent. So there was a lot of 0 days. It was like crickets. And the dream was always to be able to have a place where we could have the working jeweler studio, the old atelier style that they had in Paris and Europe, where you have the working people in the back, where you can see the magic happening and people feel connected. I think that's what our job is as artists. We're connected to the work. It's contagious. In this world where there's just so much illusion out there through media in your face 24/7, it's nice to be able to come back down to earth and be connected to the work happening. That's what's been so rewarding, is that we can make the work here people can come in, they can feel the energy of the work being made, and then we can customize things
with a brick and mortar situation.
With a brick and mortar. And I think, honestly, brick and mortar, is a great choice for jewelers if they want to do that. With the studio in the background, my advice would be is offer services. When I first started, people would come in and say, do you repair jewelry? And I was like, only our stuff. And now we repair everything. And it is such a great add-on sale. Some days it's only people coming in to have their jewelry repaired because we become their neighborhood jeweler. It's, again, going back to that old relationship. You had your milkman, you had your personal tailor. It's all about connecting people in IRL, in real life.
In real life. There you go. Yeah.
We're doing this in real life. And I think people are going to want more in real life experiences, especially with AI and AI creating videos. I don't know if you've dialed into this, and I've just sort of started learning about this, but there's so many AI videos now being made showing things that aren't real. A lot of those videos that you see on Instagram of someone making a piece, it's totally AI generated.
Wow.
Actually, it's not happening. This is not a person doing it. It looks totally real. It's mind-blowing. People will become desensitized to that. It's not going to mean anything to them anymore. People want the in real life experience. And so it's up to us as artists to be living in that world and creating the space where people can actually be a part of it. I think it will become more and more true going forward. Is that even real?
You're going to have to show some major imperfections in the videos. It's got to be super authentic to be believable now. Hand fabricated and handmade is going to become even more potent and important. Can you explain, how do you work with your team?
The thing about our team, and this is what's so interesting, is everybody that I've ever worked with has come to our team through somebody else, that either a friend or another jeweler
referred.
And it's always been the most synergistic working with people through word of mouth. And with the exception of a couple of our sales team, my managers are all master bench jewelers. So they've grown from the bench jeweler into management.
Right.
My creative lead and co-visionary went to RISD, Christina. She's a master bench jeweler. Francisco, he's really our lead main jeweler that is focused on the work. And we'll send like our stone setting to Amy. She works in Petaluma from her house. And then our casting is done in New York, actually. I go to New York and I meet with them. I love connecting with them. He's a master mold maker from Argentina. So everybody's interconnected. Everybody here comes from the jewelry world. A lot of times it's a coincidence, but it's not a coincidence. So everybody is the jack of all trades, master of nothing. I think that's the thing about a small business, and everybody's willing to get up and do whatever needs to be done.
Yeah.
It's like you got to be able to do a lot of things. Even as a manager, I need you to hop on the bench and make those 10 pairs of earrings so that we can get this order out.
It takes a village. So when you look ahead, what are you building toward now? What are you most excited about?
Just more customs. I love working with people and couples or individuals about creating a piece of jewelry that creates a milestone for them or a breakthrough or a memory. It allows us to take the creativity that we're working with someone and let them be a part of owning the process and owning the design. I think that's what my real joy is, and just having more time for our Fun Day Fridays, more time to just make more one-of-a-kind pieces. Because as I said, the gems that I have from the last 30 years, I can fill a pyramid. I really want to give the raw materials that I have their opportunity to come to life and become jewelry. And just my age in general, given the materials that I have, that I really want to make more one-of-a-kinds or make more limited edition. It's much more fulfilling to me. And that's what really feels our souls. And also just wanting my jewelers to be able to experiment and do different things and not with having to assemble the same thing.
To grow beyond,
day after day.
Beyond their current skill set. I love that. This is such a great look at what it takes to build something over time. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. If you're in the middle of building something or you're feeling stretched or uncertain, what would you want them to know?
Everything changes.
The one thing you can count on.
One thing you can count on. It's very difficult when you're in a situation where we haven't had one person come in the whole day and it's maybe been a sequential week after week of just being low sales, and you're like thinking, oh boy, like payrolls due. Everything changes. And I really and truly think that when you're aligned and you're clear, like being clear is really, really important to being in business. that the universe will take care of you. And I know that sounds cliche, but there's always going to be a sign that you're in the right place, even if the right place is uncomfortable. You can't hold on and you can't let go. You just got to go with the flow, make friends with change. Leaves don't cry when they're falling off. They're like something better is coming. It's the cycle of the moon. Like the moon is now, today it's like at its fullest. And now is the process of letting go, and the cycle happens again. So when things are really hard and you're in that hard, take yourself back to when things were really great and really wonderful. And that moment changed. And now you're just in an uncomfortable phase. You have to let go and just allow the cycles to just flow and be what they are. We are just part of nature. We aren't any different. The highs, the lows, the ups, the downs, the more prosperous times, none of it stays.
Nothing stays the same. Oh my gosh, absolutely true. Hard to embrace sometimes.
Become best friends with change.
I love it. Anything else you want to share before we close today, Stacey? Oh wait, we got to show them our matching hippie glasses. Pretty sure
we're bringing it back.
Yeah,
the necklace readers.
And now if I didn't have them, I would just drop my glasses. I've been using them for so long, I wouldn't know how to live without them.
It becomes almost like it goes with your earrings, and it's much cooler than the croquis.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, things I wore in the Grateful Dead parking lot.
You were selling T-shirts.
If only if I had these then, I would have made $1 million.
I love
while
it.
I was selling T-shirts.
Oh, if only, right? If only then. I love this message so much, Stacey, that you shared with us today. Change is the one thing we can count on. Just keep going with the flow. There's going to be ebbs and flows. Everything must swing. The pendulum must swing, right? It's going to go up and it's going to go back. And that is the one thing that we can count on as well.
You can't have day without night.
Yeah. And just keep moving forward. Don't let it defeat you. Resilience. Get back to the gratitude. When everything else feels crappy, focus on what's working.
Absolutely.
Look for the helpers. Look for the good. Right?
Journal a lot. I think that is so important. That has helped me change so much my perspective. Is I try to journal at least 3-4 times a week because then you can go back to it. And don't just journal when you're upset, please. You have to journal when you've had the best day ever.
Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for connecting with me. And I hope that whatever wisdom I could impart, it would lift someone up and maybe change the butterfly wing effect. Maybe it would just change in a really positive way.
Yeah, if they pay attention. Yeah. This episode is supported by Bonnie Doon Tools. Metal only moves well when pressure is applied correctly, controlled. From simple forming to engineered custom dies, Bonnie Doon gives you consistency that you can rely on. Built for real studios and proven under real pressure. Tons of pressure. Learn more at bonniedoontools.com. I'm glad you're here. This path takes a lot, especially when you're building something of your own. If you want to go deeper, I share key takeaways and additional teaching through my email list at CourtneyGrayArts.com. Keep going. This part matters. I'll see you next week.
Singing bowls and stories untold. Yeah, here's to the dreams and how we make them, to howling at the moon, to worries and loss, sitting in solitude, feeling a little bit pissed off. Here's to the grace we have awakened,